So this is the first satsang, kind of like the start of autumn training season of 2025 that culminates with the winter retreat in January, December, January, like it always does. So this autumn we will have seven, eight this Sunday satsangs, practice meetings, and then we will have the first retreat is already in a week from now. So first weekend of September we will have the September weekend retreat. And then the autumn retreat in Finland, it's 6 or 7 days in early October. And then we will have, if I remember correctly, one weekend retreat in October, November, when the month changes, and then one more weekend retreat in late November before the winter retreat. Yeah, but this is the way how we've done training for years now, and it's lovely that I've been speaking the past couple of years since COVID passed us. What happened during COVID is that our live retreat activities, decreased significantly. So we've been I've been encouraging our Sangha members to be active and arrange retreats and teaching activities, invite myself over or invite our acharyas over to teach. And this is now we can clearly see that it is taking fire, figuratively speaking, that it's now it's starting to we're starting to have retreats and teachings here and there quite nicely. So this year we already had the spring retreat in Switzerland, where we will have it again next year. Sylvia is the one who is the main organizer of that. And then, like I already mentioned, the autumn retreat, as usual, will be held in Finland. And then in November there will be like a beginner's introduction course taught by myself in Freiburg, Germany, which is organized by Jari. So that's 14th to 16th November. And next February, the date is not yet set, but we will have it's going to be the February weekend retreat. The first weekend retreat after the winter retreat, which will be taught, I will travel to UK and teach it from there in the center that we have in Birmingham. What else? Well, like nicely. Oh, of course, Turku is happening in October. Sorry, yeah, I saw Janika's face and that reminded me that. So when I go to Finland to teach the autumn retreat, there will be teachings in Finnish in Turku. I haven't taught in Finnish in 2018 was the last time. So 7 years has passed since, and I've been really looking forward to it. And now I will have, in October, I will have a chance to teach in Finnish for 3 hours. Yeah, so that's also lovely. But my point is that, I'm really happy that our Sangha members have heard what I've said and what I've requested. And little by little, these live activities are coming back. And the way it seems to come back is that, as you know, for many years, for a number of years, most of our live retreats were either in UK or in Ireland. So, but now it seems like it's kind of like mushrooms are popping here and there after rain. So it's happening like that that Amrita Mandala teachings are reaching new places and therefore reaching new people. And this is, of course, what we want. Something that I want to discuss on the last Revitalized Zen weekend retreat that I taught earlier this month. We were speaking about Amrita Mandala teachings in US. So this is something that I would like to discuss with American folks and hear their ideas. But more about this later. Anyway, so autumn training season 2025, more or less same people. You know, many of us, we have been training together for many years. Gradually, you know, doing practice in a committed way, in a devoted way. Sometimes practice can be pain in the ass. It can be really awful. But of course, we wouldn't be doing it if there weren't also real results coming from the practice, isn't it? And this is, of course, something that, you know, after my years in, should I say, established Dharma, that were told are very effective and time-tested. You know, I got very disillusioned about that because the results weren't coming. You know, the results that, you know, initial awakening and consecutive awakenings and all this purification, my own Buddha nature showing up, it just wasn't showing up. So it made me very disillusioned about established Dharma. Anyhow, because of that point, because of those experiences of mine that I have also seen with other people, you know, lots of people are committed to different Dharma methods and established Dharma methods, and many people have that same problem, that the benefits, the results simply aren't there. I've heard that so many times from so many people throughout the years. Many people have written me, told me, and then due to the grace of my masters, my gurus, such as Padmasambhava here and Babaji here behind me, due to their, how do you say, limitless kindness, help, through their grace, through their teachings, this method, Amrita Mandala, has gradually formed, come into existence. And one of the most important things to me as a nowadays and for many years as a practitioner, but also as a teacher, is to teach practices, teach a method that really gives a taste in every session, gives an experience. What experience? Recognition of our basic nature, Buddha nature, recognizing ourselves as Buddhas. This is absolutely essential. It's indispensable. Well, when I say in every session, you know, sometimes when you have a rough patch, you have a dark night, you might be, how to say, encased inside such a thick blanket or thick mattress of junk and your own negativities that it might be very difficult. But my point is that apart from dark nights, you know, you really can recognize this basic nature. So it shouldn't be viewed as a special experience, this recognition of basic nature that happens only once a year on a special retreat somewhere with a special teacher. But it really should be viewed, what is the healthy, correct view is that we always have Buddha nature. We never not have Buddha nature. So this basic nature, true nature, pure nature. So the correct view is that with proper effective practices and teachings, it should also be, it should be possible to recognize it in our daily practice, in our daily life. Not only one recognition once a year or something like that. So this is really the main point of our teachings, of our Dharma. And all our practices, we have, as human beings, we have 3 bodies. In Buddhism, and actually which comes from ancient Hinduism, there is this theory of the 3 bodies, trikaya, trideha. So we have the subtlest of the subtle bodies, or causal body. Then we have the grossest of the 2 subtle bodies, or the astral body. And then we have the physical body. And because of these 3 bodies that we all have, in Amrita Mandala we have 3 paths, or 3 sets of practices for each of the bodies. And this is unusual, unique in the world of Dharma, Yoga, Tantra, because although we apply the theory, the Buddhist view to our practice. So, we practice Buddha Dharma. Let's be clear about that. Doctrinally, we practice what Buddha Shakyamuni taught in the second and third turnings of the wheel of Dharma. So that's our theoretical stance, theoretical basis. But having said that, because of it's necessary to prioritize effectiveness in practice. This is the reason why we, I mentioned 3 paths and 3 subtle bodies, or 3 bodies out of 2 are subtle. So when it comes to the meridian system or the astral body, we do practices with Hindu gurus and practice Hindu deities rather than Buddhist ones, because it is simply more effective that way. It's faster, it's more efficient. So again, I chose that way because we don't have time to waste. So effectiveness and results need to be prioritized. Metta, st. Yeah, so this is what we do in Amrita Mandala, and as you know, I've published 3 books. The first 3 books that are published are about emptiness practice. So this means purification, gradual purification of the causal body. Behind me you can see this rainbow-colored aura of Guru Rinpoche, and causal body is commonly known as this aura. So when we discuss realization of emptiness, pragya, wisdom, we are dealing with this subtlest of the 2 subtle bodies. And then of course we have the 13 Bhumi model, the model of the 13 grounds, 13 areas, 13 vibratory, vibratory areas, 13 Bhumi model that we use as a map when we go through these 10 samsaric bhumis, 10 samsaric grounds, and then also open and perfect 11, 12, and 13, these extraordinary bhumis that are everywhere in our being, everywhere in the aura, but due to our habits and patterns, delusions, we don't know that. So we don't know this basic nature that in technical theoretical terms are these Mahasiddha bhumis, Mahasiddha grounds. And as you know, Mahasiddha means a Buddha, like a greatly attained, greatly achieved. Buddha means just wakeful or awake. So that's one of the three paths, the path of wisdom and clarity, where we go through the process of emptiness meditation as these stages, 13 stages, 13 bhumis. And the main practice for this is, what is it called? Rainbow Body Yoga. And since late last year, I made Rainbow Body Yoga light, free of charge. So anybody can learn it from Amrita Mandala website, and many have since. Very effective practices. So if we discuss, just to establish basic understanding, now that we are starting a new training season, when we discuss full enlightenment or Buddhahood, also known by the term Samyak Sambodhi in Sanskrit, Samyak Sambodhi, or just Sambodhi, the views vary a bit, but the most basic requirement for full enlightenment is to purify these two subtle bodies, leaving the physical body and its tissues, aside from the aside. So at minimum, to achieve Buddhahood, full enlightenment, means purifying these two subtle bodies, one astral body made of meridian channels inside the body, and then the other one, the subtler one, that creates the aura, that is also inside the body but extends outside the physical, boundaries of the body, thus creating the aura, and also creating the vertical pillar. That is very little known in the world of yoga today, because this teaching has been lost, forgotten. But when we speak of this causal body and astral body, and purity of them both, 100%, complete purity, so that there is no self-delusion, no belief in separately existing self, so no self-delusion at all, 100% gone. So emptiness fully realized. And then emptiness meaning this so-called prajna, wisdom, that so extensively is discussed in Buddhism, in Buddha Dharma, originally in Buddha's second turning of the wheel of Dharma. And then we have the other subtle body, this, or what I call astral body, made of meridian channels that number in hundreds inside the body. That's where, as you know, the traumas, psychological trauma, in varying degrees. Some people have just like a small number of shocking experiences have had in their lives, while others have had many shocking experiences since early childhood that results in the so-called complex trauma or developmental trauma. As far as I know from psychology, sometimes complex trauma and developmental trauma mean different things, and in other interpretations are that they use those two terms interchangeably, like synonyms. So I also use them as synonyms. But with complex trauma, we are talking about very difficult, very complex trauma. So that it's really deep in the psyche, and it's part of the person's everyday living and moment to moment functioning of one's psyche. And then, of course, this is something that I've spoken and taught a lot the past 4 or 5 years. We have podcasts about it. My Facebook feed is full of posts about this. So I've spoken and taught extensively about this, and I've taught many practices how to heal this complex trauma. And this is actually, healing complex trauma is a new thing in Dharma. It's a new thing in the world of yoga. It's not really discussed much. It's discussed a little bit here and there, but I would say that healing complex trauma is far from becoming like a household topics in Dharma yoga practice, meditation practice. So there's a lot to do in that sense. So anyhow, complex trauma gets stored in the astral body, and also just, simple, good old selfishness. Selfishness. So, selfish habits of selfishness. So when we discuss Buddhahood, at minimum, we have to remove all of this. We have to realize emptiness in its full scope, and then also remove trauma, whether we have a little of it or lots of it, and then remove selfishness. But that's it. Something that maybe I will just say something, I have a complex trauma, so I have first-hand experience of that, and for the past few years this has been the main focus of my practice, healing these traumas and removing these all kinds of negative habits and patterns that come from it. It's a lot. Like, I'm 46 years old now, and when that stuff, when it, is cooking since you were, in my case, 2 years old, when it's been cooking for 40 plus years, it's very compelling stuff. So this is something that I've discussed with my gurus over the past few years, when this path of healing and light, the second path, I've been putting it together. And for example, Babaji, whose image is behind me, he also had a very traumatizing childhood. He was kidnapped when he was 5 years old, and then he served as a house slave for some time before he got his freedom. But the thing is that he attained Buddhahood, this Mahasiddha achievement, at the age of 16. So very young. So when if you have an early trauma, let's say within the first 6-7 years of your life, and then it keeps building, if I had to say some like a watershed moment when it starts becoming very hard, and when it hardens in the subtle body, it's after 35 years of age. around 35, 40, and then this traumatic substance hardens. It actually becomes this we are talking about non-physical tissue, but nevertheless it hardens, which is kind of an interesting thing. Yeah, but that's what happens. And when that happens at 35, 40, then you're gonna need very special tools to remove it. And one of the reasons why Amrita Mandala exists, Amrita Mandala didn't exist before I started teaching. But one of the main reasons why it exists, hopefully for many, many generations to come, is this matter and problem of complex trauma. Because it's so common, it's very common now in today's world. We have many Sangha members, and our Sangha isn't even big, but we have many Sangha members who have complex trauma. And then so many people, Dharma practitioners, whatever type of practice they do, also have it. But these traditional practices, although they have strong points, practices from, like I said, the term established Dharma, they have strong points, but we have to understand that complex trauma isn't just, it's not that easy to heal. It's not a problem that can be easily fixed. We need to have very specific, exact know-how and practices how to do it. And this is, if we look at the history of Dharma and Mahasiddha Dharma, teachings that are supposed to take ordinary sentient samsaric beings like myself all the way to Buddhahood in this life. If we don't have these trauma healing practices in today's world, in a generation from now, in 5, 10, 15, 20 generations from now, they would not be Mahasiddhas. So it is like a water, I don't know if you can say it in English, but kind of like a watershed. It's a deciding factor. So in that sense, it is something that I have taken very seriously, and Dharma teachers and lineages, traditions need to take it very seriously. Metta just showed up. So what else? So if we think of Buddhahood, attaining Buddhahood in this life, establishing the two subtle bodies in the basic state is the minimum requirement. And then the third path we have in Amrita Mandala is called the path of health and great bliss. Great bliss is a translation of a technical term, mahasukha, which literally means great joy, great ease, great bliss, mahasukha. But there are actually a bit different interpretations of the so-called body of light, rainbow body, light body, golden body of light. So some sources say that we have a body of light when both of these subtle bodies are purified and thus returned to their natural condition, original purity. And I think it's an okay definition. I don't see any problem with that, because when we do that, return the subtle bodies into this pristine original condition, then we don't have the idea of a deluded self or any of these negative habits. None of the negative habits. We just don't have them anymore. So it's a very significant shift. Of course, it's a very significant shift to get there. And some use this as a definition for the body of light. On the other hand, this original purity is also there potentially in the physical body and physical cells. So, this is why we have 3 paths, 3 methods of practice in Amrita Mandala. And like the name of the third one suggests, the path of health and great bliss. Something that comes from my martial art training and Zen art background, being one of the hard students of Terayama Roshi, something that I emphasize in my teachings is physicality. So we are not only dealing with some mind-related realization of emptiness, but very visceral, physically visceral nature of reality. Nature, our own nature. This is also physical. So when it comes to the term, I use the term the path of health. Oftentimes Dharma traditions discuss health. I'm kind of making a joke here, but they kind of discuss health when only after health is lost. Okay? But because of my training in martial arts and physical yogas and, having been Terayama Roshi's student, my view is a bit different. So this is why I emphasize health and having a long, healthy life, or however long time we have left, living in a healthy, strong, having healthy and strong bodies. And this of course makes sense a lot. So this simply is the way how I look at it. So we have different types of physical practices, but we also have very unique practices like immortality exercises and Amrita asana yoga that put together practice elements that in a way that at least I don't know any other lineage or teacher who would do so. So since 2022 autumn retreat in Finland, I've been teaching Amrita asanas and then more recently immortality exercises that are a form of bone marrow washing that I learned originally from Terayama Roshi 20 years ago in Japan, but more recently from Bodhidharma, this legendary South Indian Mahasiddha yogi who took number of teachings to China that later became the Zen tradition. So on this summer retreat in July, then last spring retreat in Switzerland, I have emphasized we've had sessions of immortality exercises. And I think we also had last autumn in Finland. And I will continue to teach these physical practices, mainly on the residential retreats. Okay. So my view and the view in Amrita Mandala, therefore, is that that the, let's say, the full full enlightenment, we can establish all our three bodies in this basic nature, in this original purity. And therefore we have these three sets of practices. Like we have, by the way, there is in Taoist tradition, they speak of dantians, these fields of places or places of elixir. In Sanskrit, these three places are called khanda. Khanda means place of sugar. Sugar. So, when we speak of three kayas, trikaya, trideha, we speak of three paths. These are directly related to the three dantians or three khandas. So one inside the head, one inside the chest, and one inside the gut. So three dantians relating to the basic seats of the three bodies: causal, dharmakaya, astral, sambhogakaya, and physical, nirmanakaya. And one, like I already referred to in passing, it's kind of unique in the world of yoga today. I wish it wasn't. I wish it was much more widespread understanding and yogic practice, but we have this fourth khanda, fourth dantian, the vertical pillar, the Mahasiddha bhumis, 11, 12, 13, at both ends of the vertical pillar. So this is something that we exercise a lot in Amrita Mandala practices in all three paths, simply because it's so effective. It works so well. Yeah. It's soon in October. I started teaching full time in October 2008. So this October, it's full 17 years that I've been teaching, and we have had a interesting journey together. I don't think there are. Well, Rani is we first met in 2007, when I wasn't. I was just leading little sessions here and there in Finland, so her I've known the longest, but maybe Ganga Päivi has been in the Sangha for longest, maybe from like 2012 or something like that. Anyway, you might have been in the Sangha for a couple of years or 5 years, 10 years, however long you've been, but this journey has been interesting. Sometimes it's been a pain in the ass, like a real motherfucker for me. I'll admit to it. But it's also been extremely difficult for me because of my traumas. So that's also definitely has been a factor with my hardships with my work, which is an interesting thing, but it happens to everybody with complex trauma that you self-sabotage in different ways. You cannot avoid negativities and negative views and negative thoughts from bubbling up. And that's the thing with complex trauma, that it's compelling. It's very, very thick, like tar. Yeah. Anyway, so it's soon been 17 years, and together we've been making gradual progress through all these years. It's been quite a task for me personally to figure out the three bodies, figure out practices how to, establish causal body in its natural purity, realize emptiness. That took many years, until 2021. And now 4.5 years and counting with astral body. And then physical practices I have taught since the beginning. But with this understanding of Trikaya realization, to me that has also been like a recent understanding of the last few years. But anyway, we'll just keep practicing and giving it our best in our daily practice, in our daily commitment. And also what is necessary, I want to ask again or mention again, is that it is necessary to do something to support the liberation of all beings. Do something for the Dharma. If not on daily basis, then weekly, do something. Maybe do yogis on display, do practice somewhere where people and or animals can see you. It is very important, especially in the West, because Westerners keep their practice secret. And I think one of the reasons why Dharma flourished in Asia for so long, because practitioners didn't keep their practices secret. Just like in here in Slovenia, the Christian Catholic culture is quite strong, which is not the case elsewhere in Europe at the moment. But here you have all kinds of religious festivals and kulkue, like priests and their church goers, they walk together in villages, on the streets, doing something like that, something visible for others. And this is what we need to do as Dharma practitioners in the West, because we can't keep it secret. And the main reason why I see it that way is because there are so many people everywhere around us who are so in such deep trouble, right? Such deep trouble. So, we might be very fortunate to have the karma to practice the Dharma, to go on retreats, but it is the opposite of compassionate. It is the opposite of bodhicitta to keep it secret. People need to know, people in the West need to know that there is an option. And, other options than, some who are fortunate and who have money, might go to therapy. Some might take care of their mental health through doing some form of physical exercise. But there are still countless, millions and millions, hundreds of millions of people who are in such trouble because they are existentially lost and so stuck with the mud of negativity of their own minds, of their psyches. So meditate where people can see you, chant mantras. You don't need to, it's not a like a drama scene, just go somewhere and sit, maybe at the train station, maybe in a park, just sit there. And those who are desperate will pick up the energy. And they might come and ask something, are you meditating? It's that energy, that pure energy of the Buddha within that touches people. Oh, I wish I had I had seen people meditating, chanting mantras, whatever, when I was a teenager, but in Finland that just didn't occur when I was a young boy. So I think that many here have similar experiences, that it would have been lovely to meet the Dharma when you were a child or a teenager or a young adult, but most of us had to wait until 30, 40, 50, 60 years of age. So this is the main reason why we need to communicate to our neighbors that there is an option to that confused state of mind. So that is something you can do for others. Another thing that you can do for others is to do something for our Amrita Mandala mission. Some of you are involved with running local groups. Some of you are organizing different types of local events, maybe short events, maybe weekend courses, maybe like residential retreats in a rented place. Think about what you can do and then do it. Then do it. I think that procrastination, delaying, thinking about it too much, how difficult it will be, can I do it, should I do it or not, maybe I can do it, maybe I don't have the time, maybe I will feel a little bit uncomfortable and tired when I, do this or that. That's all horseshit. If you have bodhicitta, if you really have developed bodhicitta, if you're really in it for the heart, from the heart, that is just noise, and that won't bother you. If I had done like that, I wouldn't have taught one course, but I have taught hundreds since 2008. So please, take this seriously. This is not like something that can be taken lightly. Look at the world. Look at how screwed up people are. So divided, so angry, so lost, so deluded. It seems like even though Christianity established good moral values in the West, in many places around the world, all that seems to, a lot of it seems to have gone. A lot of it seems to have gone. Like basic humility, basic humbleness, forgiveness, listening to others instead of judging immediately. Isn't it? These qualities, being humble, forgiving, not immediately judging, listening, these are qualities of our basic nature. It is not some Christian stuff apart from the Buddhist stuff, right? But, countless people in today's modern world are falling on their faces with this simple stuff, and they are feeling so bad because of it. So we need to do something. Our Sangha is only 70, or now it's even less, well, maybe around 70 members. We are a tiny group. It's like the smallest drop in the ocean. But that smallest drop is not nothing. That's the whole point. If you feel discouraged or if you get caught by that wheel of bullshit in your head, making excuses why you can't do this, can't do that, look at me. I've had to bust ass for almost 2 decades, through 10 years of really bad insomnia, through 4 years of burnout, active burnout. I'm not talking about 4 years of healing from burnout. I'm talking about having to work 12 hours a day while having a burnout, because I wasn't earning enough, getting enough money from doing this job. So I'm not going to hear any excuses from anybody. But that is the spirit many Mahasiddhas needed to have. Living on extremely simple food. You could say that unhealthy food because they probably weren't getting all the nourishment, vitamins, minerals, and so forth from what they were eating. Just drinking water or simple tea in a small hut or a cave, in a cave somewhere. For what purpose? For the liberation of all beings. If bodhicitta is genuine, then you will do it. It will be hard. It will break your back, but you will do it nevertheless. Many Mahasiddhas have endured so much difficulties and hardships. And one Mahasiddha who is closest to us culturally, Ishanath, Jesus, he was murdered for that. He didn't have an excuse. How's that for love? How's that for compassion? Kindness? So I wanted to give a little talk here in the first satsang. I may or may not be talking so much in the in the satsangs after this, but it's good to remind everybody of the basics here. And also it's good to remind that when in tantric systems, in Buddhism you use the term Buddhahood. In Hinduism they have different terms for it, but this full enlightenment thing, it's a real thing. It's not like a fairy tale or a fantasy or anything like that. It's real. We are talking about our own minds, and then gradually removing these inner obstacles, habits, delusions, and through shedding away layer by layer gradually, this basic nature shows up because it's there. It spontaneously shows up. So this is also something that we shouldn't bring in some interpretations or lesser ideas about it. The phrase Buddhahood in this life has been said by many Buddhist Mahasiddhas. Buddhahood in this life has been attained by countless Buddhists, Taoists, Hindus, Christians even, over many thousands of years. So don't make yourself an exception. This basic nature is something it's not for dreaming. It's not something that you imagine. It is something that you recognize. Discover, this beautiful, clear, fresh, grounded, loaded with goodness and kindness. That's in every one of us, every moment. This is not some, I'm not talking about something like levitating or, anything like that, flying through the sky. So in that sense, remember that you are not an exception. So there also don't make excuses. Maybe I can get 7 boomies open. Maybe I can remove some of my selfishness, but this Buddhahood, ooh, it's somewhere there on top of a cloud that I can't reach. But it is really simple. Buddha nature means wakeful nature. So it is very simple actually. The main thing we need to do is to stay with our minds and bodies. Just to stay with our minds and bodies. That's where the workplace, työmaa, we say in Finnish. That's where the workplace always is. That's where the task of practice is. It's never anywhere else. It is not in being, frustrated. If you are eaten by frustration, then you are eaten by it. Deluded by it. Or if you are expecting that something will happen in my practice in days time or 10 days time or something, you project something into the future, then also you have to catch that habit of projecting into the future right now. So the task of yogi practice is always in the mind and in the body and in the energies at this moment. At this moment. We might have conflicts with our spouses, our friends, with our kids, our parents, whoever. Yes, conflict is one thing, but how we react and what kind of poisons we, inject into that conflict comes from our minds and psyches, traumas probably. So again, be mindful, be aware of your body and mind. And in that way we take responsibility. Totally openly, totally honestly, completely sincerely, from one moment to the next, from one day to the next. And especially when it gets rough, when we have dark night, when lots of negativities come up and it's like a massive thunderstorm inside with lots of thick dark clouds, thick smoke. We start coughing. Then be mindful. Chop it up. Chop it up by being mindful and by being aware. And using different practices that you have learned. Okay, I think I've talked enough.